Welcome back, everyone, to episode 9 of my Castlevania Symphony the Night playthrough. As always, I'm your host, Victor Nub, and we're going to go ahead and resume where we were in the previous episode, all the way at the bottom of the castle. However, as I mentioned at the very end of episode 8, I did need to go back and pick up the teleport or transport room at the very top right corner of the map, and as you can see, that area of the map has now been unlocked. And the reason for that is we're going to use that to sweep back through the very center of the castle. It'll go a lot faster if I can just teleport back up there. That includes the long zigzagging area that we went through when we were on the regular side of the castle that had the Iron Knight with the big ball and chain that he was whipping at me, as well as the Cthulhu. We'll go back through there, and I think it's different enemies when you do the inverted castle version of it. But we'll swing back through there, get to the center of the map where the big clock room is, and then we will head to the Colosseum. Perfect. I love that they invert the icon here. I think we talked about at the very beginning of the game, the reason why it says CD there is these little interstitial rooms were in the Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1 days where the game would actually load the next game map. So there would be a brief pause, and then you would enter the next room. Basically, the game would preload the entire section of the map that you were going into before you actually entered it. It couldn't do that on the fly, or they didn't make the hardware capable of doing that on the fly, so you had to preload the entire section of that map before you went in there, and there was just a little bit of a hitch, like I'd say a second and a half, maybe 2-second pause while it loaded the next area. May also have been loading the music, because obviously the PlayStation 1 was capable of a far richer quality of sound than your cartridge-based consoles were capable of back in the day. So, you know, there was just a little difference in the audio, and obviously the game maps had a lot of texture and detail to them, even if they were a two-dimensional surface. Again, if you're in bad need for some health, you can actually hit those flying skulls with your soul steel and suck out a whole bunch of extra life. I didn't need it, but just to demonstrate. Soul Steel is a very useful spell. Nothing special there. This area, you don't benefit too much from going from the top down to the bottom. It's pretty much a horizontal section of the map already, so you're not really gaining anything from going one way or the other. Plus, they were pretty light on the enemies, as you can see. Now, this section might be a little tricky. The Nova Skeletons. Thankfully, I'm good at jump kicking. Haha, suckers. I believe in Mario, that would have been a 1-up. I don't think there was anything missing up there. Nope, just a bunch of candelabras. No big deal. I knew it. This thing, I made it through there without touching a single Medusa head, which means I'm going to mess up and get hit by one eventually. I want to go back up because there is a little side area here. Should have an item at the very bottom of it. Right there. Potion. Again, potions you can stack, and they're one of the few healing items you can get out of the library, so that's a good one to pick up a bunch of if you can. Instead of spending the money on weapons or armor at this point in the game, you're better off just using what you've been finding in the standard playthrough of the game. In this version, it might still behoove me to go in there if I get stuck with a really crappy weapon, just to try to buff myself a little bit before the next item drop. Which I can't control. I have no idea what's going to drop from any enemy at any given time. Oh, the Cthulhu Pass, or whatever his name is. So that breath he's shooting out will actually turn you to stone if you get hit by it. It's one of the few character models in the game that is made up of a series of two-dimensional models that are kind of pasted together and move at weird joints in the body instead of just a single sprite that has a handful of animations it rotates through. They made interesting uses of moving 2D textures in a 3D space in this game. They did what they could with what they had. The game, for the majority, plays in 2D, but there are still elements that they found ways to incorporate of 3D models. In particular, those save rooms. Uh-oh. Yes, a nice little detail about the Catoble Pus, or whatever it's supposed to be called, is that you can stand on that little plate on their back. I'm not sure what they drop in this game. They might not drop anything. So the clock room is to the left. We're going to go to the right just to clear out what's left of this little side chamber. I think it's just a straight shot to the right. I don't think there's any side paths. Pretty boring. I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of stuff to the right there. Oh, yeah, that's right. Some more of the main study that you enter at the beginning of the game. Well, not the very beginning, but like the second to beginning. More of these stupid bitterflies. And there's an item right there. Ooh, I had no idea that was there. Yoink, turquoise. And everything's done there. I believe this is just a very straight section here with what used to be blood zombies in it. Nope, nothing there, blood zombie-wise, but the Ukobaks, oh, gremlins. Sorry, the names change between Castlevanias, and sometimes they change in very bizarre ways. I think in certain versions of the game, these enemies are called Ukobaks, U-K-O-B-A-C-K. Alright, that was it. I'm going to head back to the left. Oh, we'll do this the fast way. I know there's some bitterflies in the area, I just don't know where. Alright. I don't think you stay transformed if you go through here. You do not, see? Ouch. It's interesting, if you hit the enemy in the middle of his body with your sword, it does 1 damage. You have to touch the head with the very tip of it to do damage. And these are basically the toughest non-boss enemies in the game. These guys take a ton of damage to kill. They deal out a ton of damage with their attacks, and they can block your attacks. They have like a little shield move that they can do. Your best option to deal with them is simply to do what I just did, which is fly away. If there's any sub-weapons you want in the game, this is the place to come to get them, because they literally lay them all out for you, including the exotic ones. So the clock is not a very common find in the game. You can find it here. The cross is here, and the lightning, Akumi, whatever it's called. you go. This is a nice little break from the action. And you can see the passage to the Colosseum has been opened. You need some hearts, you can get them here. This is where you go to fight Shaft and Dracula, but you have to pick up all 5 of the pieces of Vlad in order to get in there. We also would have to put on the 2 items that you use in the regular castle to get in here. You got to do it this way, I think. Aren't you opening? Oh, wait, no. I just remembered. You don't use it to open that. You use it to open the final passage to Dracula, so that's not it. No. What you got to do is you got to use the clock. I forgot. So good news, they just put it right there where you can pick it up. Come up here, push it out of the way. A couple of resist items, which I haven't been using. So this was kind of a waste. This is where you got the a la carte mail in the regular castle, or the full a la carte set, I guess. The sword, the shield, and the mail. All right, so we want to put that away and go back to buy booty. When you have the hits, you got to play them. And we're going to go back to the left and clear the other side of the clock tower and all of the stuff that led up to the shaft that goes all the way down to the underground cavern. Again, more final guards. Your best choice is to just avoid them. They hit hard. They're hard to hit themselves. They do give you a ton of experience, and that includes for your familiars. So if you actually stick around and kill a couple of them, you can level up very quickly fighting those guys. In some cases, if you have not done enough leveling, you can get multiple levels from a single kill. By far the easiest way to kill those guys, in fact, is to come back when you have the gas cloud relic, turn into mist, and just poison them. Or mist them, or whatever it is you're doing. Get through there. And we have finished everything. Alright, so we can go back. Ah, you did nothing. Okay. These guys are just too dangerous to mess around with. Jump! Whee! Aha. So my sword familiar is actually starting to do a fair chunk of damage with all of his swings. Her swings? The funny thing is, the voice of the sword, when it attacks, can be either male or female. So I don't know if it actually has one sex. It may be multiple sexes. How does that work? I don't know. I'm just playing the game. And now the sword familiar is the strongest of all the familiars that I have. Again, probably the best of all the familiars you pick up. Demon and Ghost have some nice benefits. Demon has a couple of elemental attacks that I'll do when you level them up more. The bat actually attacks way more often and gets more of the bats when you level it up. And the Ghost will gain a mild soul steal ability that hits whenever he takes a little chomp out of an enemy once you level him past 50. How far you have to go past 50 to get it, I don't remember. It might be up in the 70s, level-wise. And it takes a very long time to max out the leveling for any of your familiars. So it's not one of those things you should plan to do just through a standard playthrough. You're not going to fight enough enemies for that to happen. That's one of those things where if you're really into just cheesing the system and letting the game level itself, the best way to do that would be to go back to the regular castle and go to the very first area of the game, because there is a room where a bunch of zombies will respawn just by standing at the very edge of the map, and you can just set the game where you have like a shield or you can set off to the side and let the familiars do all the work for you. But every enemy you kill gives you an additional boost to the level for your character. Not to mention your own leveling. We picked up a stone mask, and I thought I saw a weapon. Double check. Sword of Hador. Yep, there we go. And the shield I had before was... Got a shield? Or did I already pick up Alucard shield? I did. Yeah, alright, so it was an Alucard shield. Oh. Yeah, I don't remember. It really doesn't matter. Neither of them are really great weapons. Or shields. Well, actually, excuse me. They are both great shields. The difference is negligible. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, that Alucard shield, it's junk. It's the best shield in the game. And I don't think I picked up anything else. No, that was it. Unless it was Relic? Or not Relic, but one of these. Nope, nothing. All right, moving on. It was an opal. That's what I picked up. All right, so we mentioned this before. There was an enemy in the game that can drop a very cool sword called the Mourn Blade. And what the Mourn Blade does is, every time you hit an enemy a single time, it gives you the Soul Steal effect, and you draw out 8 hit points that come back to you. The enemy in this room is the enemy that drops that sword. Again, a very rare drop. It's very difficult to get it because he hits hard. I took 53 damage to hit him one time. And you can see how much damage it's taking to kill him. So your best bet is to try it a handful of times if you're going to do it at all, and then just move on with your life. Aha. That didn't kill him. Come on. Come on. He went, Kia! Look at how many hits it's taking to do this. I'm not using the weakest enemy or weakest weapon in the game. This is a pretty substantial weapon late game. But he also takes forever to move. Oh, crap. I was trying to get to the other side so I could whack him from over here. He did a sword combo. Got him. But it didn't drop. So that can be a very frustrating weapon to find if you're trying to get everything in the game, because he takes forever to kill, and unfortunately it's a rare drop, so it's very difficult to get that item. Alright, so I said we were going to do the Colosseum in this episode, and that is this way. If you go to the left, and actually we should go to the left first. Left gives you access to the transporter room, and also that leads you to Olrox's quarters eventually. It's a smaller area, but we want to do the Colosseum first. Ouch. Get... Malachi, you jerk. Die. A lot of Cthulhu monsters in this one. Hey, he dropped Dark Shield. Cool. This is one of the very few shields that you pick up in the game that actually damages enemies. So if you hold this out, you can see it has a neat little effect while you're holding it as well, that lightning zipping around. Unfortunately, I think it does dark damage, which means there are going to be quite a few enemies that you will not be able to damage with this, simply because they absorb dark attacks. Alright, again, we're not going to go down. We're going to go to the Colosseum first. Okay. Gotcha. That's interesting. The shield works on the enemy that dropped it, which makes no sense. Ouch. Oh, don't touch. Alright, good. Hip. We're gonna do Soul Steal on him. Gotcha. Gimme. Ouch. Oh, you jerk. That Grave Dancer enemy doesn't seem to do a whole lot of dancing so much as leaping bodily at you. Oh, excuse me, Ghost Dancer. Your soul! Thank you. Haha. At this point in the game, the chance for critical damage is not quite as beneficial as it was early. It's still nice when you get it. Well, you do not do much damage with that attack. You are better off... Oh. No, come on. Ow! Just doing standard attacks on him. Good for getting health if you need it, but not so much for attacking this guy. And yeah, we're going to give this enemy one chance as far as, or one more chance as far as dropping the Morn Blade. Got him. Nope, he didn't drop it. All right, well, that was our 2 chances at it. I don't think we're ever going to see him in this playthrough again. There's no other location in the game map that that particular guy shows up in. However, there are quite a few chances to get back to it because it's so close to the transporter. And you actually have a couple of different paths you can take to get to that particular room. For if you're going there for the Colosseum, or if you go through there to get to Olrox's quarters. So it's not the hardest enemy to get to, it's just very hard to kill. Takes forever. These guys are a pain in the butt because of their location. More of the invincible, indestructible skulls. Gotta be careful because I think all of those drop sub-weapons. Ow! You jerk. Oh! Nice dodge. No, don't want that. That seemed kind of pointless. All that work to get an aquamarine. If you're familiar with your Castlevania lore, that little bloody heap of a monster in the background is actually a behemoth. Which I think you open in the Rondo of Blood game with a fight against him, or maybe it's one of the later fights. I can't remember. Graham! It's a sword called Graham. See? The sword named Graham. That's such a weird description for an item. What is the sword of Graham? It's the sword that's called Graham. Oh, okay. Alright, we're just gonna move. I was hoping he'd come back towards me a little bit. Did not want to cooperate. Oh, look at that. A trio of pickups. Alright, so that is done. There's a boss in the center of the Colosseum, just like on the regular side of the castle. Or the regular castle, rather. Oh! He did a spinning roundhouse. And I need to soul steal this guy's. Or these guys, rather. This guy's. I talk good English. Look at that. It was breathing right down my neck. Literally, that placement was just about as perfect as it could be to not get hit. I don't know if we've talked much about the music in this game. I think some areas truly fit the idea of a Castlevania song. This area, I think, actually fits it because it's got a horror element to it. It sounds very spooky. There are other areas of the game, every time I hear the song that plays in them, it makes me think of music that you would hear back in the day on the Weather Channel when you're getting your 7-day outlook. Current conditions in your area. And they queue up whatever garbage, no lyric song that they happen to have that you normally would be on the channel that you hear in an elevator. Back when that was a thing. Well, you really don't see that much in elevators anymore, do you? Alright. At least not in the area I live in. Maybe in areas where they have super high-rise buildings that, you know, take forever to get to the top of. They actually still use music, but not in this area. Okay. Gotcha. Whoa! Oh, that was some garbage. That should have hit me. Fortunately, this is the run-up to the boss fight, which is literally right in there. And you gotta go through a gauntlet of minotaurs to get to it. Minotaurs? Minotaurs. Is it a tar or a tor? How are you supposed to say that? Alright, so this is the back entrance for the Colosseum that you normally wouldn't be able to get to unless you come in here and break the little statue. Oh, no. No, that's right, that's right. This is the... Wait, it's not a statue, though. This is where you hit the switch on the floor, I think. Whatever it is, there's a guarded entrance to this area that you can normally only do with the normal entrance for the Colosseum. Give me some health back, jerk. Whee! Alright, so there is a secret room in here. Oh, look at this. We got another chance at the Morn Blade. I forgot all about that. Against the Azagal. Interesting. The other enemy does not count as a hit. A box that you can hit until you actually get him to start moving. So you can't soul steal him. Alright, you disappear for a while I go back here for this guy. Oh! He went, yeah! Again, time and place. This is back when voice acting was just an afterthought. Hey, we gotta voice some parts for this game. You want to come in for an hour and record? Yeah, sure. We want you to say, yeah. Yeah! Yeah, close enough. Alright, we need to just get through here real quick. Or we get Fury Plate. Fury Plate does is, I think it boosts your damage briefly if you get hit. Yeah. Oh, it boosts your defense briefly when you take a hit. Not as good as the Brilliant Plate, but I don't think the Brilliant Plate was really helping me much against anything except that one tombstone encounter we had at the end of the last episode, because apparently tombstones are holy, I guess. Cool. Alright, so we are back at the entrance of the Colosseum. We can go back through that grate because we have the power of mist. We want to find the... Oh! Ouch! The save room real quick, though, because we need some health real bad. Owie! The slide kick did almost nothing. Owie! Might be because I took damage. The Fury Plate is in action. It's doing what it's supposed to. Alright, we're here. That's everything we need to do here. Is this an easier way to get to the boss than the Gauntlet of Minotaurs? Maybe? My best option in either case is going to be turning into a mist cloud and just zipping past them without taking damage. And I am blanking on what this boss fight is. I don't remember. Uh-oh. Ah! Oh. I just fly through. Not worth the risk. See you guys. I got clipped through the environment and disappeared from our lives. All right, here we go. Boss fight. Oh, yeah. This is one of the cooler ones in the game. So you're Alucard. And the very first game that Alucard appears in is Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. Is that the name? The full name? Whatever the full name is. Obviously, the Netflix series that came out a couple years ago is based on the story, the loose storyline of Castlevania 3. And it starred not only Alucard, but also Simon Belmont, Sypha Belnades, and Grant Danasty, who did not appear in that game, but I think they might have alluded to him by name in some spots. But anyway, we're about to fight them. Hey, gang, what's up? Although I'm sure they're not really those characters. Wow, the Fury Plate is almost broken. This is insane. Why am I only taking 1 damage? I don't know how long it lasts, which means it's probably going to turn off any second now, and I'm going to start taking serious damage. The good news is I am definitely rocking these two. Alright, Sypha's out of the picture. Trevor's out of the picture. I just need to get Grant off the ceiling. I'll be honest, I was kind of disappointed that they didn't put Grant in the series. I don't know how he would have worked because they seem to have had what they felt was a good triangle between the characters that they didn't include in the series, but I still kind of missed Grant not being there. He could have just been kind of an impish character, you know? Always out for a laugh instead of actually helping them. Owie! I think these guys drop a sword, but I'm not remembering what it was. I think it might have been a katana. But I also think the Minotaurs drop steak. I cannot verify if either of those things actually happen. Alright, so we said we weren't going to go back through this room and try to kill Azaghal anymore, but well, we have to go back through the room again, so one more try. Really slows the work down here when he bounces backwards every time you attack him. All right, Steve, we need you to give us your manliest grunt. Yeah! Nope, that's not it. Try one more time. Yeah! Well, all right, that's just gonna work. Whatever. We got a voice clip. Let's just do it. All right, screw it. I'm not fighting you anymore. You're not worth the effort, guy. Even though Mournblade is a very cool weapon and it would have been nice to have for this run, but whatever. And another ceremonial mask. Yoink! Or stone mask, rather. Which I think I already had equipped. We'll double check. I did. When I think of Stone Mask, the thing that pops to my head is the movie Vanilla Sky. And the part where Tom Cruise is recovering from his accident, and the plastic surgeons suggest that he wear this goofy-looking mask to cover his face because it would help heal the scars from his injury. And he freaks out because it's very clear that they're just telling him to wear a mask to hide the scars since he's so self-conscious about the way he looks after the accident. All right. Oh. Very interesting, weird movie. And I think worth watching once. I probably watched it way more times than most people ever would in their entire lives. I don't know, it's such a bizarre concept. And obviously a great one because it was originally a Spanish movie just called Abre los ojos, or Open Your Eyes, which is like the first thing you hear in the movie, and I think the last thing you hear in your movie, or hear in the movie rather. Or it may not have been a Spanish movie, it might have been just a Spanish book or story or something. Here we have another example of an enemy that you normally would have fought as a boss in the regular castle, but they reduce it to just a regular enemy that you fight at the... right somewhere in the middle of the inverted castle. Alright, so this is a very big area we gotta cover. Oh! Can't touch me! Best way to do that... Whoa! Is to go all the way to the tippy top, turn into a bat, and then do this, cover all that extra ground. Oh, no, 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 no! Get back up there. Alright, so let's go down here. Oh, I did it again. Aha! Nice touch that you don't take damage when you're doing your little bat charge. I assume it's just another way, just like the wolf form and the mist form, to just cover ground quickly without taking damage. And that's everything. This should be a save room. Yep. Alright, so we got one fight in here that we gotta take down, and I'm blanking on what the boss is for this area. Wait a minute, I think I know which one this is. This is gonna be a mummy, and this mummy can do an insane amount of damage if he hits you with the one move that he does. Normally, it's a pretty easy fight otherwise. All right, so Alucard Mail is better defensively, except for that little quirk that the Fury Plate has where it gives you, like, 1 damage when you get hit by an enemy if you... It's an interesting piece of armor, and it probably also was a glitch in the programming that the developers didn't necessarily mean. It's funny, we... As gamers have become conditioned to get annoyed at the fact that there are day one patches and complain that games should have been finished when they were released and that games didn't have problems back in the day. And let me tell you, they did. We just got used to ignoring them as a result of how many things that were just considered acceptable back in the day because the game still was functionally fun to play with whatever problems came up. I'm sure there's someone out there who, if they knew that, you know, the game could be patched and found that there were items like Sword of Dawn that don't work the way they're supposed to, where the enemies you spawn in only do 1 damage, or, you know, Fury Plate gives you a ton of armor and they went back and patched the game so that it's only going to do that for a couple seconds, 1 time per screen, and then it goes away. They'd complain about that. There are things that we just kind of gave a pass to because there was no fixing it back in the day on cartridge or CD that now we can fix and people get upset about. You look at all the Dark Souls games that have all these weird, awesome weapon and spell combinations that basically allow you to one-shot enemies or absolutely dominate in PvP. And as soon as they start becoming popular and part of the meta, you know, From Software will patch it out or nerf it. Or same with Overwatch. You know, Overwatch, whenever someone would find a really good combination of characters, they would go back through and they would buff certain other characters that had weak abilities and nerf the ones that everyone liked. It's just... It's one of those weird trade-offs. Maybe the game got a little bit better polished back in the day, but you still had quirks that everyone just kind of ignored because there was no other choice. And now you get game balancing patches in some ways with games that actually make them feel worse. Like, it felt like you got one over on the dev, and then they realized what they did wrong and fixed it. Alright, so here we go. We got the boss right in here. Again, I think this is the mummy, and this would probably be a good time to use a fire weapon if we were choosing them, but we don't. We use what we find. There he is. Again, this guy can have a real nasty attack if he hits you with it. And I think it has to do with that little bandage grab that he just does there. Oh, come on, throw that. Oh! Oh, he grabbed me! Here it comes. Oh, you know what? Didn't do much damage at all. There might be a more damaging version of that move. This is one of those things where normally when I play the game and I'm farming for good equipment, you get to this fight and let's say you have one Chrysogrim or two Chrysogrim. You beat him so fast, you don't even see any of his moves. I mean, it's literally you come in, you mash, you know, X and B on the Xbox controller, or I think it's square and circle on the PlayStation controller, and you just mash them for like a second and a half. Fight's over. You don't even see what the enemy can do. They die so fast. If you're looking to overpower the enemy, and a perfect example of what we were just talking about, I imagine Chrysogrim knowing that you can mash on both the left and right hand buttons in this game, which is what your X and B, your square and circle buttons represent. If the game had been made today and they realized that, oh, you can absolutely dominate enemies by mashing on the two attack buttons at the same time, they'd probably patch it out. They'd make it so that you can attack with one hand at a time, but not both, which would negate some of the fun of this game. Some of that OP magic that, if you're willing to put in the effort, you can absolutely dominate enemies. Alright, so we have finished most of the castle. We have to go all the way down to the catacombs still. And we'll probably make good progress, if not a complete run of that area, before we get to the final episode. And depending on how far I make it and how much I think is left of the game, we may just get there and then call it an episode. I'm not sure what all we got left. I think if we left that part of the game for the next episode, it would probably be a 30 or 40 minute episode. Oh, shoot! I was trying to avoid the knife. The safe way to go through this area would just be to put on the spike breaker, but I'm not doing that. I don't want to. I don't need it. So we're going to warp back to probably the top right. I don't know. Well, there's really no good way to get back there from here. I mean, you could literally go the way that we're going to go, or you could come in from the long vertical shaft that drops you down towards where the boss fight with the doppelganger in the inverted castle goes. I think both of them are viable in the sense that neither of them are terribly easy runs. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That almost hit. That was a little bit too close for comfort. Alright. Let's go this way. Uh-oh. Get up that stupid jump. There we go. Pop. Pop. Dodo-bird. He drops another item, and I am blanking on what it is, besides the lapis lazuli. Lazuli, however you say it. And I remember it being a very good item, but I just don't know what it was. It might be Heart Refresh, and what Heart Refresh does is, I believe it gives you your max amount of hearts back. So if you're really heavy into sub-weapon use, like say you're using the cross, which burns 100 hearts every time you use it, you can pop a Heart Refresh, get all the hearts back, use it again. It's actually not a bad strategy against Dracula. Does a ton of damage, especially if you put on Starlight before you use the cross. And then you can just burn through all those Heart Refreshes that you didn't necessarily want or need at any point. They give you a huge breadth of weapon options in this game. There's really no one weapon that you have to use, I suppose, except maybe the right-hand weapons. You know, your standard swords. Or clubs, or whatever else you get in this game. Okay, so we are here. Alright, I was a huge liar. Apparently this is a much easier path, because we didn't have to go through all the Venus weeds. And then I walked right into the goddamn Venus weeds. Alright, so we are right there. We'll go up. Okay, this is the entrance to the... First it's called the Abandoned Mine Shaft, and then you get to the Catacombs, but they're one and the same in my mind. Now, speaking of bosses that come back as regular enemies, here's Gaibon. And Slogra will appear in another part of this area as well. See? Easy enemies. I don't think either of them drop anything. Also, if you're playing this game casually and you want to see what the enemy may have, or I don't think the game just tells you, but there is a bestiary. You have to go back to the library. The librarian has all the enemies that you fought in the game. I think he keeps the information for what they drop until you actually pick it up. But it's a good way to just look at which enemies I still have to go fight and get an item from if you are missing any. If you're a completionist and you're trying to get all the items in the game. There's Slogra. Again, with all the growth that we've made in the course of the game, these guys are pushovers, 2-3 hits, and they're all dead. Which cannot be said about the next fight. Hey, Death, what's up? We didn't talk earlier because I just blew through your room. So what you're about to say to me probably won't make sense, but we'll find out.
So, you've made it this far. In the name of your father, cease this foolishness.
No!
Not while there's a breath in my body.
Then for the master, I'll feast on your soul this night.
Oh yeah? What if I do it first? I missed. He has two different forms. He has his standard Oogie Boogie skeleton man form, and then he turns into a weird, like, dragon man with cleavers for hands or scythes for hands. Try to soul steal from him. There we go. Haha. Who fed on whose soul? Huh? Was it you? I did it. Whoa! He's shooting lobster claws at me. Phase 1 over. Phase 2, where he turns into a dragon with demon hand or scythe hands. Actually, it looks like he's just holding scythes. Owie. Also, I'm noticing it's making those little sounds that the gears made in the clock tower when you're trying to set them. Hear the click click. Gotcha. Who's eating whose soul now, huh? I still want to fight Daddy. Yoink! And I think that's all of the relics. That is all 5. So technically... Oh, look at that. They do give you something. All right. I was mistaken. I thought they didn't give you anything. They actually boost your stats a little bit for each one. So we got intelligence for the ring. We got strength for the tooth. For the rib, we get constitution. For the heart, we don't get cursed anymore. And for the eye, we got luck. So I was wrong. I thought they didn't do anything. They do. Now again, that little switch down there, the only way to get it to actually get, to hit it, is to actually switch to the devil, demon, whatever. And...
I'm ready to serve, Master.
Yeah, thank you, Putz. I wanted you to go serve by hitting the switch.
This switch hasn't been pressed yet.
That is the voice they went with for your little demon companion. Not,
I'm ready to serve, Master.
it's, I'm ready to serve, Master. Ugh. We might have talked about this in a previous episode. If it wasn't the Sega Saturn version of this game, it might have been the Japanese-only version of this game. There were actually more than just the 5 familiars you find. As you can see, there's room for a 6th and maybe 7 at the very bottom. I believe there is another version of the Fairy, which is just spelled F-A-I-R-Y, and there's another demon, and that demon is not a regular demon, it's a nose demon. What difference is there between those two different versions of the fairy and the demon? Almost nothing. I think it's just a name difference. So you can understand why they got rid of that. We also talked about the Sega Saturn having a small additional area at the very beginning of the game. You could break through the ground at the entrance of the castle, and there were a handful of rooms right underneath it. What you got from those rooms, I don't remember. You get some kind of item, but I'm blanking on what it was. Oh, shoot! Alright, so yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get to the save room slash teleport area, which is a handful of rooms up above, and then we'll go ahead and call it an episode. And from there, in episode 10, we'll go ahead and knock out the catacombs, which probably only take about 20 or 30 minutes, and we'll be ready to fight Dracula. It's pretty quick turnaround. Technically, we could go fight Dracula right now. There's absolutely no reason we have to go through the catacombs. We have what we need to take on the final boss of the game. Alright, so this is where we find the teleport room and the fight, or the save room, rather. All right, so this is teleporter. We don't need to activate it to unlock it as a destination. You just walk in the room. That's all you have to do. Now, one of the nice touches about this game, and we may not have talked about this at all, is the fact that there's a difference between squatting and just doing a swing, and squatting and doing a downward swing to hit the stuff on the very bottom of the ground. The difference is if you just hold down on the D-pad and press the attack button, he swings straight ahead. In order to actually do that downward swing, you actually have to hold down forward and swing your weapon. It's one of those little touches that makes it seem like they did put in the effort. I thought there was a save room here. They did put in the effort to try to fix things that people might have complained about in the past. All right, so we got the strongest one-handed sword in the game. I believe is Alucard's sword. It might be a different one. I suppose Mournblade might do more damage, but it's been a while since I played, so I can't remember. This is also, if you're manually controlling the action, a very good spot to farm not only potions, but also levels for your familiars, because, again, every enemy you kill counts towards their experience bar. Sometimes it's just 1 point. Sometimes if it's a big, tough guy like this, it might be a couple. But they all work towards that experience. Sad to say, just based on the progress we've made in this playthrough, that we won't see the evolution of the sword. Not only does the sword change its attack patterns when you get to level 50, but it also visually changes. Instead of just being a standard sword like this, I believe it gets little fin blades that kind of pop out on either side. It's very interesting looking, but yeah, we would have to get to level like 50 before that happens, and we're not very far from the end of the game, so I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to stick with sword for the rest of the way through the playthrough. Switching to one of the other ones at this point would just be a waste of time because they're not going to get strong enough to really benefit us. Sticking with one familiar is the best way to do it at this point. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap things up. We managed to make it all the way through the remaining sections of the castle, with the exception of the catacombs at the very bottom of the castle. We cleared out the Colosseum. We finished Olrox's quarters, which was now inhabited by a mummy. We fought my compatriots from Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. We managed to get through the fight with Death, who is one of the few characters in this game that actually has voiced dialogue. So we made a ton of progress. And again, next episode, we'll probably blow through that in about 30 minutes, and that'll be the end of the game. There's not a whole lot left. So yeah, that's going to do it for episode 9 of my long play of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. As always, I do appreciate each of you watching, and I will see you next time.